I thought I knew Slums Hardpoint. I've been playing COD Mobile for almost 2 years. I knew the hills, the power positions, and how I wanted to play the map. But when I actually watched the film and tracked every spawn on every point, I realized Slums is way more readable than it feels. P1 is still messy, but on P2, P3, and P4, the map mostly plays around 3 main spawn zones. And once you know those zones, your own spawn and your teammates' positions start giving you free information about where the enemy is probably coming from. Obviously, I'm not a COD Mobile pro, and I'm not expecting you to have a 5-stack that plays every hill perfectly. But this information can absolutely help you understand how to help your team win in ranked. I watched the 2025 World Champs in addition to my own replays to track all these spawns. What stood out about the pros was how intentional high-level teams are with their spawns, routes, and utility. Now, you may not be able to swing a pro setup in a ranked solo queue match, but you can know the spawns, own the territory, and make winning decisions. By the end of this video, you'll go from having a feel for the way Slums plays to knowing where they're coming from and how to win each point. Here we go. Let's start with P1, and P1 is the exception on Slums. P2, P3, and P4 all have more of a 3-spawn structure. P1 doesn't work that way. It's the first hill, it's in the middle of the map, and enemies can realistically spawn on and break from almost any outside edge. I call P1 a castle hill because the statue, the 2-level wall, the white van, and monument give you more than enough powerful cover to defend it against the other team trying to storm the castle. And remember this, any kills you get where you or the enemy are on the hill helps you build your streaks faster. So get onto the hill and use cover on or around it as quickly as you can. And once you have it, make use of that cover to stay alive long enough to figure out where they're spawning and defend it. Every time you successfully defend a wave, the enemy may be spawning from somewhere else, especially if your whole team is in the middle area. Be sure to check where your teammates are and be ready for them to come from blue or from the opposite side of where the other team just tried to break. To break P1, don't go one at a time or stack through the same entrance. Look to time your entry with your team hitting somewhere else. A favorite of mine is taking a little bit of extra time to go around to an entrance the other team isn't expecting. If your team spawns garage side, running through blue and entering from dumpsters is a great way to catch the other team looking the wrong way. P1 is all about owning the middle of the map and responding to attempts to break from any of the 6 entrances. Just be aware that you'll want to be early to P2. P2 is where Slums starts getting much more readable. This is the #1 spawn control hill on the map. The 3 areas are street, steps or arches, and then blue road, or we can call it just blue. Street is the power spawn, steps is the swing area, and blue is the problem spawn. Street is the closest and safest route to the point, which makes it ideal for defending and breaking from that spawn. Blue is the farthest and most dangerous route to the point because it has 2 predictable paths to the hill from that side. From arches or steps, you can go down street or through dumpsters towards the point. It's a medium distance spawn with multiple options to attack the hill. This hill is not just about the hill, it's about owning street. Watch the pros play on Slums, and both teams are fighting for street during rotation. It's the side that makes the hill easier to take and to hold. If you've got street, or even better, if you've got street and arches, they're stuck blue. Blue has to come through dumpster or dumpsters on the way to the hill, or on the way to arches and street. That makes their push longer and more predictable, with prime opportunities to cut them off before they get to the point. In ranked, this is where teams mess up all the time. Everyone runs to the point, they're spawning blue, we wipe out their wave, but nobody is back holding street. And then all of a sudden, they spawn back on street, and they're right back attacking the hill from the opposite side that they just came from. So, in solo queue, if no one is holding the street, that might have to be your job. If you're spawning blue and don't have the point, all is not lost, but it is an uphill battle. You definitely want to split from your teammates and not stack in the same entrance. Be aware that if you're spawning blue and you don't have any teammates around arches, they may have someone over there watching dumpsters. One last late hill note here. When P2 is almost over, you want to get off street spawn and have the other team street spawn because P3 is across the map on blue road. So with about 10 to 15 seconds left, get off street if you're holding it and start pushing P3 so that the other team spawns as far away as possible. P2 is all about owning street spawn. It makes taking and holding the hill significantly easier. And now on to P3. P3 surprised me. It surprised me because there is a clear best spawn, and I had no idea that was the case until I started tracking the spawns and watching the hill back. The 3 P3 areas are Fountain, Garage, and then Blue, or Dumpster, really. For P3, it's simple. You want Fountain. Fountain gives you the safest route to the hill and the superior side to break the hill itself. Let me explain. If you're on the hill and they're breaking from Blue Road, when they step on the hill, even if you can't see them, you know they're there. They know you're on the hill, but not which corner you're tucked into. By getting on the hill from Blue Road, the team breaking is at an information disadvantage. If you approach from the laundromat or fountain side, you can see most of the hill and you don't alert them by being on the hill before they can see you. If your team owns fountain and the other team gets forced through Graves and Blue, They are much easier to defend against when you have the hill. To hold Fountain, I recommend being around the Fountain itself and using it and its walls as cover. A lot of times people hold their operators longer than they should, and P3 sees a ton of people using their operator for the first time. For P3, own Fountain, and the hill gets much easier to hold, break, and retake. Finally, we have P4. P4 has 3 spawn points, all of which have been used already on previous hills: Fountain, Steps, and Blue Road. Just like P3, Fountain is the best spawn because it's the closest and safest route to the point. Once you get to the garage from Fountain, you can go in the door, hit the side window, or flank through the backyard. Steps, I'd say, is the next best spawn because at least you have Monument to provide cover on your way to the hill. And then you have Blue Road, which is the farthest. The fastest route from Blue Road is through Graves, which doesn't provide much cover. From any of these routes, it's possible to break the hill. Again, I just recommend looking to time your entry with teammates coming from a second angle. P4 is a garage fight, but the hold is built outside. The backyard is also a popular spot to watch Fountain if the other team is spawning there, or to watch the door or window from Steps through the other backyard door. If your team is on the hill itself, don't be afraid to get off the hill and cut off routes from Steps, Graves, or Fountain. Get to the barrel facing Monument, or use the vans or dumpster outside the point itself. For P4, look to own Fountain, control pushes from Graves and Monument, and be ready for close quarter combat on the hill. Use backyard when you can when attacking and defending the point. Now that you know the exact spawn areas, you can make educated reads. P1 is a castle hill, own the middle. P2 is the most spawn-centric hill on the map, with street as the power spawn. P3, Fountain has advantages in safety and breaking the hill, and P4 has a unique hill structure with Fountain still being the closest and safest way in. You now have one more ironclad piece of free information, the Slums spawn locations. Combine that with where you spawn and where your teammates are. Now go make winning decisions. Subscribe to my channel for more ranked decision-making breakdowns, and comment what hardpoint map you want me to do next.